Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to learn how to do blending, kind of, on power weapons. Not kind of. Yes, we're doing blending on power weapons. I'm going to show you how I blend power weapons. Now since the recording of me blending, I've since finished the actual unit. As of last night, so you can see the product there of my power axe, my double-edged power axe, and you can see the rest of the unit is nice and painted. In the video, or in the clips I will show you, they won't be as painted looking, but the point still stands, you know, power weapons and whatnot. Here's the lightning effect on the thunder hammer. It's not the best, but it will be looking good from relatively far away. And here is a Legatine power axe with that. Also really proud of this guy. I really like his face. But this, like I say, they still need basing. Still working on that, so just have unbased Ultramarines all over my shelf. But the thing about power weapons is that they're very easy to do. They're deceptively difficult. And these kinds of blends can be used on stuff like Necrons with the green and the dark green. They can be used on Chaos power weapons. They can be used on fantasy swords. They can be used on anything your heart's desire. Especially they can be used on swords. This blending can be used on swords. It's really good on long blades. But yeah, let's get into it. Today we are painting Invictaris Caesarans. Now this is my Kitbash squad. You've seen it before. I've shown it on the channel. Today we are going to be wet blending the power axes. So usually what I do is I just paint silver on my axes and any other power weapons, but today I wanted to really spiff up this squad because they deserve it. So to begin with, you want to have your two blending colors, or more colors if you want. But today we're doing two colors. So today we're going to have the two colors on the wet palette, and I would recommend a wet palette for this. And you're going to start on one end and just begin painting up like that. So while the paint is wet, you want to take your other color and you want to begin up here. That is definitely going to need two coats. And you want to just blend it out like so. So as you can see, you want to move your brush back and forth to get the smoothest blend. And just like that, you have a pretty decent wet blend, just so. For the next little bit of technique here is, as you can see, I only did the axe face there, the blade. But for this one, since this is a less ornate axe, I'm going to do the entire face of the blade here. So you're going to want to start without hitting the sort of blade part. You kind of want to start on the bottom there. You want to keep your paint nice and wet on the face. Wash off your brush quickly. And you want to have some relatively opaque sort of blades there, or not blades. You want to have some relatively opaque paint so that the blends come out and you're not showing your undercoat. Of course, here I am with thin paints, but that's okay. We will just fix it up here. If you get a lot of paint on there, that's okay. We'll just, like I say, fix it up. And again, you want to just move your brush back and forth. And there we have it. Nice blend right there, from that light blue all the way down to that dark Connor blue. So here we are. We're going to try the same wet blending technique with this Thunder Hammer, and we're going to try and do this face and also this face here. So start with bottom here. We'll get just enough paint on there. And for starting out wet blending, texture doesn't really matter, especially on these gritty Forge World models. So like I say, you want to go back and forth, just like so. Dragging that blue color into the lighter blue. And there you have it. And then we're going to move on to the other face. And the hair. Peanut has her minions everywhere. And put some blue paint on there. Well, they're both blue paints, but you put some dark blue paint. And you kind of mix them in the middle. There you go. There's two faces of that axe, or I mean that Thunder Hammer. Nice and complete. Alright, so here we have another method to blend out the classic power weapon effect. And here I'm going to try feathering. Well, I'm going to do feathering. So begin getting some thinned down paint on your brush. You generally want to go from the tip of the blend all the way to the edge, and you want to just get some water on your brush and feather that out like so. Like so. And you may need to base coat the area in the darker color right here, or fix up or make it longer, but that's pretty easy. You do it just like this. This is how you make it longer. Again, you just want to feather it out with a bit of water. Like that. Like so. Now you have a longer gradient. Kind of starts up here, goes down there. And even if you get like a starker sort of split between them, you can always take your redder color and fix it up just like that. And then you can fix up the edge, and you can make it look quite nice. And here's an example of that exact technique being used even over the lettering. And it's not perfect. You can see with my original base coat, I've spilt over onto the silver and a bit onto the gold here. But that stuff we can fix, but generally you want to be careful rebase coating and touching up around the gradient so that you don't screw up the gradient once you've finished it. And also I've done the other side and the top here. You can see I did a blend as well. And as you can see, I have, it's a bit light there. You can always take watered down version of your previous color and just get it to the right opacity and just sort of bring it in there. And that will appear totally seamless when you go to look at it again. And there you go. That's your gradient. But this is basically the effect we're going to go for. Same thing. It's going to be from the edge up to the top of the gradient, because where you end your brush is going to end up being the darkest generally. You need to be quick with your brush work. You need to really get the water on your brush and get that rinsed off, otherwise you get tide marks like that. Of course, it's okay, you can always fix up your gradients like so. Like I say, we can always come back and fix up with the lighter color. We can always fix it up with the darker color. It's a real back and forth. So now we're going to do the bottom here. We'll go from about here down, and since we're doing one way darker to light and one way lighter to dark, we can screw up and get kind of spill over onto the other color, and the consequences will be minimal. Okay, so moving on from the power axe, we have the thunder hammer here. And being honest, we were going to do the gradient effect on the thunder hammer, but it's really complicated, so we'll show you something a little more simple, which is a lightning effect. So as you can see here, I've already done this side, and it looks alright. So over here, generally, you want to have your first sort of line with your very thin paint facing towards the source of your lightning. So my lightning's coming from the middle of my thunder hammer, so I'm just going to do a line like that. And then I'm going to do more on this main offshoot here, and we'll have it split off here, have more angles and such. Don't be afraid to just grab more paint. It's very, very thin. You want a very, very thin, low opacity paint, because if you have a dark base coat like we do, lightning is going to be very, very striking. And that's pretty alright lightning effect right there. So there you have it, guys. That's how I wet blend. Not wet blend. Well, yes, wet blending and feathering. So what's next after that, I suppose? Well, the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you fix up the area around the axes, and you want to make sure that all the golden stuff gets painted just as normal, but just very careful to avoid your nice blend. I almost ruined a couple of these axes because I didn't stick to that. So don't be like me and just be very, very careful around your nice wet blends, or do them last. But, you know. And then, so obviously I finished my Victrix, or not my Victrix card, but my Invictaris Suzerains. So what's next? So here we have what's next, essentially. So right now, this is the day after I finished painting my Victrix card, not my Victrix card, I always get them mixed up, my Invictaris Suzerains. This is the day after. This is what I'm painting next. This is my Terminator Chaplain for my first company, for my Bad Ab War era Ultramarines. And this is a kit bash I did. I showed it on the channel a while ago, and he's finally getting painted up. So then I have my table set up in halves. So I have over here, I have a tactical squad that I need to finish fully building. Here's the sergeant. He's going to have a sword from the melee weapons kit. This is the bit that's going to go on him. And then I have the rest of the squad with the Ultramarine upgrade heads. And then I have a Despoiler squad next after that. or rather before that. And then over here I have traders. So these are all going to be Horus Heresy models, except for this one, which is on my desk just for thinking purposes. But then over here I've got my Death Guard Apothecary. He's in Mark 6 armor because Death Guard don't really like apothecaries all that much for obvious reasons. You know, they're all about getting sick and all that stuff. And this is a Traitor World Eater. So in my lore, in the lore for my custom planet, a force of Ultramarines, World Eaters, and Death Guard heading to Istvan crashes after word of the heresy gets to them and fighting breaks out. And a third of the World Eaters stays loyal to the Emperor. These are not those guys. These are complete traitors to the Emperor's cause. So you can see they kind of have a little bit of... I still need to do more. I think I'm going to do more on the legs, but they have... You can see they have a little bit of mixed armor. They have battle scars. They've got little trinkets and all that stuff. And then here's another one. You can see starting to get a bit of that chaos-y trim and whatnot. And, you know, they've got extra pouches from fallen soldiers and, again, mixed armor. And they've obviously got the butcher's nails. And here's the standard. You get the traitor marking right there. And, you know, I just added the Mechanicum symbol because these particular guys are allied very closely with the Mechanicum on my custom world. So, yeah, you can see I added some nice chains from Be'lakor and a little bit of a little bone sort of thing from the Black Templars upgrade. So, yeah. And then these are going to be Death Guard Militia, or Death Guard Aligned Militia. I'm not sure how I'm going to paint them yet, or really what I'm going to do to kit bash them to make them look a little more Heresy era. But, you know, they already look pretty good. I just need to shave off some Aquillas and some extra markings and probably get rid of some stuff and add some pouches and things like that. I dropped him. And then one more thing I have to paint for the Ultramarines is this little guy from my Devastators. And I keep forgetting the teleporter that I have left and this little guy. So we'll get him painted up at some point, I'm sure. But not high on my priority list because, you know, I prefer Space Marines. And here is the entire Victrix Guard squad. We'll take some nice glorious looks at them. So you can see right close up, this face is probably the best I've done. And, you know, he's got the plasma gun and the shield, and you know, he's got his pouches. I put some extra pouches and scrolls and stuff on them. You know, you can see the blend there. It's pretty alright. It's not perfect, of course, but it takes a lot of practice to get it perfect. But this kind of blending will serve you well for your, you know, at-home games. It's quick, so it'll be good for tournaments and stuff like that. And here's another one. So these guys are fresh from Kelth, sort of, so they kind of have a couple mixed parts of their armor. A couple guys have different shoulder pads. And, you know, this guy doesn't have the Invictaris Suzerain laurels on his shoulders, so it looks pretty good, I think. Gives him a little bit of personality and character. I dropped him. Butterfingers today, I tell ya. Then here's the sergeant type character. There isn't really a sergeant for the squad in the rules, but I just figured he's got the Ultramarines Praetor backpack, because I kit bashed that one out. But other than that, he's mostly bare bones other than the head and the axe. But yeah, there you go. So there you have it, guys. That will do it for this video. A bit of a shorter one, but we're still chugging along with the Ultramarines, so we're gonna keep going there. I will maybe get to something different soon. I have plans to take apart my Black Templars army and integrate them into my Ultramarines army. Ultramarines armies. Gotta remember, 3 Ultramarines armies. But yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Damn, I can't show Peanut.